Hi everyone and welcome along to today's training session. My name is Roshni and I'm part of the customer team here at SuiteFiles. Today's training session is going to cover scanning, sharing file templates and email templates. Just some general information before we begin. If you do have any questions as we go along, please add them to the Q&A section, which you can hopefully see easily in the webinar tool panel. I'll keep an eye on any questions that come in and I'll answer those as we go. Also note that there are other ways that can help with your training. So the first off is our help center. So you can find that at help.suitefiles.com or you can click on your username in the top right corner when you're logged into the SuiteFiles web app. As you can see, I am here, and select the help center option and that will direct you to the appropriate site. So help.suitefiles.com is the one that you need, and we are going to be using this today to access an article that tells us all about the merge fields, or those little tags that you can add into your file templates and SuiteFiles to pull information through from Xero Practice Manager or Workflow Max or whichever of the Xero products you're using. So that one will keep open, but we'll switch back to the web app here. The other thing to note is if you can't find what you're looking for on the Help Center or you get stuck, you just need to be pointed in the right direction, then please feel free to reach out to our support team at support@suitefiles.com and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, so the first thing that we'll start off with is the scanning feature, and this is available in the SuiteFiles web app here. So what it will enable is for you to generate an email address for a folder in SuiteFiles, and you can then enter that email address into your scanner. So when you scan a file to that email address, the file will be saved into SuiteFiles. So they all arrive into the Scans tab here. From there, you'll be able to file it into the appropriate folder. So the scan will arrive here. You can preview it by clicking on the icon on the left-hand side there. You can rename the file, and finally you can just choose the location that you want that file to now be in. So I'll go through that whole process. The very first thing that you'll need to do is set up a folder for scanning, and you can either just set up one folder which everyone will scan to, or you can set up individual folders. So we recommend that you set this up, either create a scanning folder like you can see I've done here at the home level. To create a home level folder, you just need to click the create button in the top right corner of your screen and select new folder. If it doesn't show up straight away, just refresh your screen and then that new folder should be visible to you. The other thing that you can do is if you're wanting to create individual scanning email addresses per user, or maybe just for a handful of your team who are responsible for scanning, then you can set up an individual folder for each of those people. So here I'm in a scanning folder, and then I can click the three dots to create another subfolder, and let's just create a new folder here. And wherever you decide to create the email address, whether it's in one scanning folder or within an individual person's folder, you just need to click the three dots alongside that folder that you want to generate the email address for and click this Create Email Address button. So that is going to link or allow you to upload documents to this location in SuiteFiles. Now I can't show you exactly what happens with a scanner, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate the process by emailing a PDF file which will act as my scan, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just going to copy this email address, but you would be able to just note that email address down and enter that directly into your scanner. And what I'm going to do is I've got an email here, and I'm just going to paste that unique email address into the to field. This attachment is going to be my scanned file. We're going to send that across, and I won't save it into SuiteFiles. We'll just send that on its way, and it will take a few moments for the scan to arrive. Now it is going to land in this folder here, but the way that you manage your scans, and everyone should be managing their scans, is through the scans interface. So it just is just an easier way to move the document around your SuiteFiles site. So while we wait for that, just to note that if you do have quite a few days worth of scans here, you can collapse and expand just by clicking those grey headings of the months. And as you saw me do earlier, you can click on the icon on the left and that will show you a preview of that file that you've scanned. You can also, if you make a mistake with the document, you don't need it in SuiteFiles anymore, you can delete it by clicking on the three dots out to the right of the file and selecting delete. If you want to download a copy of that file to your local computer, you can click the download button as well. If you're waiting for a scan and it hasn't yet arrived, you can click out of the scans tab, click back in. As you can see, that was a good amount of time for that scan to make its way into SuiteFiles. So the benefits of having those individual folders set up per user is that you can, at a glance, Johnny would be able to see which files are theirs. So they can just focus on the ones that matter to them, whereas there might be others for other people scattered throughout the list. So that's one benefit of setting up individual email addresses. But if you don't have a large volume of scans, then you might be better off just creating a top level scans or scanning folder, and everyone just uses that one to scan their files. So once you're happy with the document, you've previewed it, looks good, you can close that. And the next step is to give your file a name. And then the other thing that you'll need to do is choose a location to save that file into. So typically it would involve you stepping back to that home level. Then you'd go through the folder structure that you have, and let's just say I'm going to pop that into one of my client folders. You can type, if you type quickly on your keyboard, then that will also point you to your client folder in this list. You can keep going through until you find where it is that you want to save that. And once you're happy with that location, click File It. And the item will grey out. And if you navigate out and back into the Scans tab, you'll see that it's now been cleared from that queue. So you want to sort of treat this like an inbox and just keep processing and filing away your scans. If we jump into our clients folder, and I'll just do a lookup for Sunny Cafe in my 2020 folder, you can see that the file that I just scanned has made its way into that final folder location in SuiteFiles. So that's it for scanning. It's a nice easy one to begin with. If you do end up creating multiple email addresses, so multiple scanning folders, you can click this blue button in the top right corner of the Scans tab to view all of the email addresses that you have set up for your site. So it'll probably be a handful. We've got a ton in here because we create them all the time for demos and training, but if you jump into there, you should be able to see at a glance which email addresses you have set up and which folders they're associated to in SuiteFiles. So if anyone has any questions on that process at all, then please do add them to the Q&A section. We will move forward with the sharing functionality. And just a note on the sharing functionality that I cover in today's session, it's all about sharing folders and files with your colleagues. So those are the people that you have that would have access to SuiteFiles just like you do. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about sharing externally, so sharing with your clients, that functionality is available to those of you who are on Super Suite. So that's our top level tier. That includes SuiteFiles Connect, which is sort of our answer to the client portal, but you get to create an entire folder that you can share with your clients. They can upload documents to that folder for you. You can do one-off file requests, which will end up filing away in SuiteFiles into your chosen folder, and you can also send documents out for review, edit, or approval. So that's the external sharing capabilities that we have. If you're interested in learning more about that functionality, then I'd recommend that you jump into our Help Center, and under our, we've got a whole section dedicated to SuiteFiles Connect, so you can read up on those articles there. We also have a video section as well, so just click on the See All Articles button there, and then the webinar that you're wanting to look at, which is about an hour in duration, but it also covers off document signing as well. That's on the Help Center there under the 7th of November. So that covers off everything that you'll need to know around getting started with Connect and also document signing if you're interested in that. So with that being said, we'll focus on the folder sharing option first. So there might be some documents that you want filed into a particular folder by one of your colleagues. You can share that folder with them. You can send a message to them. They'll get notifications in their inbox as well as in SuiteFiles as well, and then they'll be able to action that task. So I'll talk a little bit about sharing first, but we'll also see how that trickles through into the tasks area of SuiteFiles as well. So they're quite tied into one another. So if we jump into a folder, let's say that we want one of our team members to file some documents into a particular folder. So let's just jump into the 2020 folder here. And if we click on the 3 dots alongside any folder, you'll see we've got a couple of share options. So the share with option is going to allow you to share that folder with a colleague, whereas the share as connected folder will be visible to you if you have SuiteFiles Connect. And so therefore you'd have the ability to share a particular folder as a connected folder externally. But I'm just going to cover off the share with option, which will allow you to enter the name or the names of the people that you want to share this folder with. So I'm just going to actually share this folder with myself. So you just type in your colleague's name. You should see them at the top of the list there, and you'll know that you've selected them correctly because their name will be listed with a light grey shaded background. You can add more people to this list if you want to, but if you need to remove them, there's that little X there, so you can remove them if you need to. So once you've added at least one recipient, then you can enter in a sharing message. This will come through to them via email. And you can also enter in a simple sharing message. So this is just if it's for their information, if there's something that you need them to review and edit, or you need their approval. You can also set a due date of when you need this to be done. As I mentioned, this sharing functionality turns into a task at the recipient's end, so they'll be able to see what's due and so what they need to action as a priority. So we'll ask them to do that by tomorrow, say, and we'll click share. And then that's going to send them an email. If you can see up the top right corner of my screen, we've got this bell icon. So that's your notifications bell, and that's just increased by 1. And you can see here as the recipient, I can access that folder from here, but I'll just jump into my inbox. And the email is going to come through from noreply@thefullsuite.com, and you can see here it's got the message as well as a link to that folder. So as the recipient, I can click on that link to that folder, and that's going to prompt me to log into SuiteFiles if I'm not already logged into it, but otherwise it'll just directly point me to that folder. Now, if I need a little bit more, if I'm accessing this a couple of days later, and maybe I need a reminder of what I need to do, I can jump into my tasks, and I'll also find the folder there waiting for me to action it. So you can see the due date in the top right corner there. We can see that it's for my review, and I can also see the message that came through originally. So this is a really good way to keep track of all of the things that you need to do. So from this view, you can also click into the folder just by clicking on the link, the folder icon there. That's going to point you to that folder in SuiteFiles. You can also click the star icon. So similar to the Scans tab, we'd sort of treat the tasks list as sort of like an inbox. So you want to keep that as clear as possible. It can be quite handy to refer back to these things in future. So that's why we allow you to favorite a folder from here. So by doing that, it means that I can mark this as done. Once I've done it, it will clear it from my to-do list, and I'll still have access to it from within my favorites. So here, if I want to message the sender back, so you can just press enter or click the send button. That will action, or that will look like a chat, but because I'm just basically talking to myself right now, that's why it's all on that right hand side, but it will just show that back and forth chat as you would expect. And then the final step for the recipient would be to mark that task as having been done. Now, as the sender, I can also keep track of the items that I have sent out for action. So for sent tasks, this would incorporate any folders and files that I've sent to my colleagues. But if I'm using SuiteFiles Connect, it would also represent any of those tasks that I have requested from my customers. So just a note for any of those Connect users out there, sent tasks is something to keep an eye on in terms of seeing your file upload requests and one-off files that you've asked for review, edit, or approval. They'll be sitting in here as well. So as the sender, I can see the messages coming back to me. I can also see that that's been marked as done, but then I sort of have final say as to whether or not it is in fact done. So I might go back to them and say that they need to make some other changes, or if I'm happy with what they've done, I can click close task, and that will just close it from for everybody. So that's it for your folder sharing. So you can do the same for file sharing. So if you locate a file that you want somebody to review or edit, so let's say we have a Word document. Now, if you've got a file that you want to share, this can be done in a number of ways. So if you hover over a file, you can see the little share icon there. That's the one that will take you through to the sharing functionality for your colleagues, so you can share files with them. If you click on the three dots alongside any file, you'll also see that same share option there. Just for those of you that are sharing externally, it's the send to connect option that you would do to send a one-off file to a customer of yours, and that will allow them to review and edit or approve a file for you. So that's covered off in that video. And the other thing you can do is if you're in a say PDF, no, sorry, if you've got your file preferences, so I just need to switch my file preferences back to just opening in the browser. If you are seeing your files, so your Word documents, Excel spreadsheets and the like, if you're seeing those in the preview mode, like you can see here, if you can see those three dots, you'll see that you can have that share option from there as well. So that only applies if you are, if you've got your file preferences. So under your username, user profile settings, file preferences, that's only if you have that set to yes, you can see the preview of the document. So you'll be able to find that share button for any situation. Now, the one that I use is just this one in the folder view. If I click on that share icon, it just takes me straight to this window here that will allow me to again enter the name or the names of the people that I want to share this document with. And again, you can type in other people if you want to, and then enter in your sharing message. So this time it's a review and edit, and I'll say that I want that done today. Click share, and again, you're going to see the notification bell tick up by 1. I'm also going to receive another email in a moment, just telling me about that file. So again, you get those email notifications, and we'll just wait for that one to come through. And the other thing that you'll see is your tasks as well. So that one has just come through here. So in terms of the differences between a folder share and a file share is if you're sharing a file with a colleague and they access that at any stage, they'll see in the preview of the document, if we click on that link there, if they've got the preview set up, they'll be able to see this little blue panel in the top right corner. So that just says that the sender has requested that I review this file. So I can click the view details option. That takes me through to this screen where I can see the original sharing message, and I can add my comments or feedback back to them. So rather than marking it as done, in this case, I'm just sending them a message or adding a note to the file. So you can click add note, and that will add the note to that particular file. Under my tasks, if I go back into that file, you can see that the chat gets recorded there as well. I think my email has arrived. So just to show you those email notifications, that comes through as, again, a message, the message as well as the link to the file. So you can access your shared files however you want to. So again, from here, you can click on the link to the document, and that will take you through to that file. You can also preview the document if you want to, add a chat message. And then you can again mark that as done. So that's it for your sharing functionality between yourself and your colleagues, as well as your tasks. If anyone does have any questions on that, then please do add them to the Q&A section, and I'll answer those before we head on to templates. So I'll just mute myself for a few moments while if any questions come through, and I'll get myself all organized to take you through templates next. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take a look at file templates first. So these will be document templates, or maybe you have an Excel spreadsheet, and you can use templates in a couple of different ways. So you can either create a template that's just a copy, that's going to be a copy of that file with exactly the same content. Or if you're using Xero integration, so if you're using Xero Practice Manager or Workflow Max, or if you're using Xero Tax, you'll be able to insert merge fields into your templates, which will then pull client information from those systems into the new file that you're creating through SuiteFiles. So we'll go through the process of that second option. And the first thing that you'll need to do in order to create a file template is you'll need to start by creating a file that you actually want to turn into that file template. So you might have an existing file that you have maybe some yellow highlights in, or maybe you've got that coming across from a different system. If you can get, say, we'll use a Word document as an example. If you can get that Word document into SuiteFiles, you can then make some edits to it, copy and paste the merge fields, which I'll go through shortly, and then turn that document into a SuiteFiles file template. So we recommend that you keep those base templates on file, and a good place to store them is in a file templates folder somewhere in SuiteFiles. So you can see here that we've just created a file templates folder. You can nest that within your business folder if you wish, but just have it somewhere handy that the team can access, or whoever's responsible for maintaining your file templates has a copy of those original ones. It never hurts to have those sitting there. The other thing to note is, if we maybe just jump into one of these examples here. So I'll just use this as an example. Now, this is still just a basic Word document, but it has had quite a bit of work done to it in order to populate those merge fields, or add those merge fields to this file. So you're probably wondering where you get these merge fields from, and that's from the SuiteFiles Help Center. So again, if you jump into help.suitefiles.com, let's just jump back to the home page there. You can jump into the Zero Integrations section, and under here you'll have the Zero Merge Fields for Templates article, but I find that if you just type in merge fields, then that's going to be the top hit for you. So if you select that option there, then that's going to bring up this article that goes through all of the formats, or all of the merge field tags that you can use in your documents. You can use date fields, and you can use those even if you don't integrate with Xero Practice Manager. You can, if you've just got some letters that you have that you don't actually need info coming through from Xero Practice Manager, you can still pop in a date field, and it just saves you having to manually fill that in. But most people will be using that for most people will be using these file templates to populate information from Xero Practice Manager or other Xero products into their letters. So the way that you can create those documents is that you simply start off with that base document, and then you go through the process of really just copying and pasting the fields that you want. So the left hand side here represents the field that you need to insert into your document, and the value on the right hand side would represent what will come through from, in this case, let's say Xero Practice Manager. So you can see here where my document is. I'll need to edit that, and so it just depends on how you have your edit settings set up. If you have edit in the browser, you can just click on that button there and start to copy and paste merge fields in from this Help Center article, or you can also open the file up in Office if you prefer to edit your documents in the desktop versions of the apps. But I'm just going to go ahead and edit the browser version. And what I'll do is, let's say that I want to change my date format. So right now I have this date to day text, and what that one represents is it just means that it's going to pull through the date with the month in an abbreviated format. So it's going to come through like that. If I want the month spelt out in full, I can just do a copy, and we recommend a copy paste just because it saves any typos. So if I just do a Control-C on my keyboard here, and just in the document, Control-V, you might just want to pick up the format of other text and just apply that to your pasted merge field just to get the formatting right. And you can see that this one's got quite a few fields in it. So we've also set this particular file up for document signing as well. So if you pop some lines and field names here, then when it comes to creating that document with SuiteFiles doc signing, if any of you are using that, then it just makes that a lot easier to just simply add the merge or add the signature fields into the document. So a lot of our templates include that setup in them. So you just go through and a lot of the client and contact fields are listed here, address fields as well. So you can do things like if there's no postal address entered into the contact in Xero Practice Manager, I can pull through the physical address instead, just things like that. And if you're really wanting to get complicated, then we also have, well, you might need to add some custom fields for the things that aren't in Xero Practice Manager already, but things that you're wanting to get through onto your documents. So there are steps on how to create custom fields at the XPM end, and then how to format your merge field to get that coming through onto your document correctly. And then finally, we've got business values. So these can be edited from within the SuiteFiles web app by a SuiteFiles administrator. So if we jump back into our username in the top right corner, select account, and then under pre-population, select business values. You can edit the values on that screen there and add additional values such as your website and address details if you're wanting to pull those through onto your documents. Finally, we can also enter in conditional formatting. So if, say, somebody is registered for GST, then you can pull through a particular sentence, and if they're not registered for GST, you can add another sentence. So it just saves you having to create different templates for different situations. If you have that information populated in Xero Practice Manager, you'll be able to toggle that information depending on if it's true or false. So there is quite a lot on that particular article. And if you are interested in doing things like creating custom fields or creating these conditional rules, then we do have a video that, or a webinar recording from a while back where I go through that in more detail. So it's under our webinars section. If you find the Working with SuiteFiles File Templates webinar, it's a bit of a mouthful there, but this video goes through some of those more complex functions. So think of it like an advanced training session for SuiteFiles template managers. Okay, so that one's there if you're wanting to level up your SuiteFiles file templates game. But let's just go back to the basics. Once you have edited your base document and you're happy with those merge fields and you're wanting to give it a go, I would save and close that document. And from this preview view, you can click on the three dots here and then turn that document into a template by clicking the Save as a Template button. Or if you're back at this level here, you can just click on those three dots alongside the file name and then select Save as Template. And you'll give the template a name. I'm just going to add a date to mine because I've got a number of these test documents in my template manager, which I do need to delete, but this will allow me to find it nice and easily. And the other thing is that you can categorize your file templates. So to create a category, this is done in the template manager, which I'll get to a little later on, but right now I've got these categories set up for my SuiteFiles site, so I can add this to, say, my engagement folder, save that template, and that might help me find it later on down the track as well. But I'll show you how to create those categories a little later on. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how, now that you've turned that file into a file template, how you can now use that with client information from Xero Practice Manager. One thing to note though, just before I do move on to that, is that if you do end up making changes to these base documents, so say you change your mind on that date format and you want to take it back to just that abbreviated form, you'd edit the document and you need to re-save it as a template. So you need to go through that full end-to-end process again in order for those changes to take effect at the template manager end. So all of your file templates are stored in your template manager. You can edit existing file templates, so I can show you how to do that later. But if you are going to be managing your file templates by storing all of the base documents in a folder like you can see we've done here, then any edits made to these documents won't take effect until you go through the process of saving as a template again. So just a little note there. But let's just jump into one of our clients' folders, and I'm just going to use 99 Corporation, basically because I know that the information is nice and perfectly stored in Xero Practice Manager. So it might take a while just to get an idea of what's stored in XPM. Maybe you need to make some data changes in Xero Practice Manager in order to work well with your templates. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a new folder to keep things nice and tidy, and we'll create a new file. So you can access your file templates in a couple of ways. You can click the blue Create button in the top right corner here. You can select File from Template, in which case you'll end up here, or click the file type that you're wanting to use. So in this case, I'm creating a Word document. So I'll create a new Word document. You can give the file a name, and then you can select Use a Template. I'm just going to go File from Template, that I find a lot easier. And once you're here, you just scroll through, find the letter template or the document template that you're wanting to use. There are those categories on the left-hand side, so I can just switch into the engagement folder, and that's where my letter is living. Or you can use the search in the top right corner, and if I just search for 15 April, then that's my document template there. So there's a few different ways to locate your document. Now, once you've found that file, you select it, and you'll find that the file name will already be populated for you, and you can overtype that if you want to change the file name, but it just takes on the letter or the file template name. Plus, if you're creating it from within your client folder, then it's going to also automatically associate that client's details. So it's basically tagged the file, in this case 99 Corporation, and it's been able to do that because I have started this process from within the 99 Corporation folder. One thing to note is that your clients do need to be nested immediately within the clients folder in order for that to happen. So if you have a few levels of client folder structure, then what you'll find is that when you select a letter, you'll also need to go through the process of choosing a client from the drop-down. And to do that, you just place your cursor in here, type in part of the client name, and select it from there. If you've recently been adding clients to Xero Practice Manager, maybe it's not appearing in the list, you should be able to click on the refresh button there, and then that will pull through the latest and greatest clients for you. So once you've done that, you can either click Create, and then that's going to go through the process of bringing all of those fields from Xero Practice Manager into your template, and it will create and present to you that brand new Word document. Or you can click this green Enter Field Values button, and that's going to go through and it's going to pull through all of those fields, but it gives you an opportunity to edit them. So here, for example, if I scroll through, the business values look fine. I don't need to change them. There's a blank field here. So this should be filled in at the Xero Practice Manager end, but it's blank at the moment. So rather than having to spend time editing the document in Word once it's been created, I can take this opportunity to just update that field value, and then this will come through onto the letter instead of this merge field. So you'll get an idea at the other end. If you're just going ahead and clicking that Create button, you'll see a whole bunch of merge fields just sitting in your document if there's no value associated to them. So it's worth checking to make sure that the information's coming through least the first couple of times you use your template. And then if, for example, I know Andrew is away today and I need to sign off this document on behalf of us rather than him, I can make a one-off change to that information. And likewise, if I know that Bert just left the company last week and I haven't had a chance to update that information in Xero Practice Manager yet, I can overtype that and bring through my new client contact's name. But I will need to go and update that in Xero Practice Manager at a later date, so that that's all going to come through perfectly from in future. So just a note on those edits, they only apply to the document that I'm creating right now. None of the changes that I make here are going to feed back into Xero Practice Manager, so you would need to log into XPM and update those changes at the XPM end in order for the next time you use that template for it to populate correctly. If you're getting into these checkbox values, then that's also going to feed through based on whether or not the checkbox is checked or not at the XPM end, but you can also toggle those and change those values for this letter on a one-off occasion if need be. Then you just click create and it's going to generate the file for you, and it's going to present that to you. In my case, because I've switched off the automatic opening in Microsoft Word, and that's just presented that document to me in a preview mode. So I can just scan through that document and just review that. And in this particular case, I might go ahead and click the request signature button, which would then turn that file into a PDF ready for me to apply the signature fields. I can sign it myself before adding the client signature fields there and sending it on its way. I could share it with somebody else if I needed, say, a colleague to approve that document. You know now how to use that share function. So there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate these templates into your workflow, and you can of course edit that, make some other changes to the document if you need to before you save and close that file. So it just becomes another Word document. So let me know if you have any questions on that at all. I think it really does come down to a bit of trial and error to begin with. Everyone's data is set up differently in Xero Practice Manager, but hopefully you'll be able to utilize those merge fields, that merge field article, which again was Xero merge fields for templates. Locate that in the Help Center, and that will help you out with the first steps of creating your first file template. Okay, so next we will take a look at the Template Manager. So this is located under the More dropdown. You can see the option here for Manage Templates. This will be only available to administrators or the users who've been given permission to manage templates. So if you're an admin, you can give your other team members access to manage templates if it suits their role to be able to do that. So what they'll be able to do is jump into the template manager, and this will just give you a list of all of the templates set up for your SuiteFiles site. So those are your file templates, also known as document templates. You've got your email templates and folder templates. So those are all filterable on the left-hand side there. So depending on what template type it is, whether it's a document, an email, or a folder template, it will determine what you can do with that file in the template manager. So for one, if you've got file templates here, you can edit those file templates. So you'll recall me mentioning that if you were to make changes to the base documents, if we go back into that, where do they live? There they are. So if you make any edits to the base Word document or Excel spreadsheet, which you use as a basis to turn into your file template, any changes that you make to that document won't filter through into the actual template. You'll need to save that as a file template again. But if you do edit your file templates from the template manager, so if I locate the one that I just created today, if you select the file template, you can actually edit the file template from within the template manager. So any edits that I make by accessing the document this way, because it's the actual template, it any changes I make will be reflected in the template manager the next time either myself or one of my colleagues uses that template with client information. So just as an example, if I click on the edit and browser option, I could make a change to the date format again. So let's say that I want to go back to the abbreviated format. I myself just know what that merge field is, but you can of course access the template, the merge field for templates file in the Help Center. The other thing that you can do is if you're in a template by the template manager, you can click on this little icon that just sits below your username here. And that's going to pop out a little panel that will show you the merge fields that you can use in your document templates. So again, I can do a copy paste into my file. So for example, just copy the format here. And because I'm in edit mode, I can paste. I can't use that. I can do Control V. And again, I'm just going to format paint that to bring through the correct format. So you can copy and paste those values or those merge fields from the panel into your document, provided you're in edit mode. You can also open the file in Office if you're more comfortable with editing your files in the desktop versions of the apps. And the other thing that you can do here is you can do a bit of a sense check as to what the information in Xero Practice Manager would pull through for a particular client. So from this drop down here, you can choose a client. We've got one with a really long name somewhere here. Okay, we're just doing some testing. So this here, if I select 99 Corporation, for example, you can see that all of my fields, or most of my fields, are coming through nicely. So the merge field, if used here, will pull through this information that's listed in bold below that merge field. So you can just at a glance see, okay, that one's looking pretty good. But for maybe a newly created client, let's see what Gary's coffee shop's up to. So he doesn't have an address entered in. There's no full name added for the primary contact. So there's quite a bit of information missing, which would mean that it's unlikely it's just going to pull through blanks or just pull through those merge fields into my template. So it's worth me going into Xero Practice Manager and tidying that up before I try and use this any template with Gary's coffee shop. So that's just a nice way to check how your data in Xero Practice Manager is looking. If you've integrated with a number of Xero products, so you might have Xero Tax, for example, then you might have duplicates listed. So if you've got both, if you've got two lots of data, then you're just going to see in brackets where that source data is originating from. Once you've done your edits to the file, there's not actually a save button on this screen, so you can just click out of the template manager. You can click anywhere really in SuiteFiles. If you were to jump back into the template manager and jump back into that template, you would find that the change has saved. So although there's not a save button, your changes or any edits that you make to the document that you've accessed via the template manager, they will get saved back into SuiteFiles. Now, with your document templates as well, depending on with your document templates, you can do other things with them, such as when you click on the three dots here, you can see you can rename your file templates, you can edit them, so that will just take you straight into the editing mode that you saw me do previously. You can also view the fields that are associated or inserted into that particular document. And you can download a copy of that file to your own computer. You can recategorize the template. So for example, if I wanted to pop that into my financial category, I can do so from there. And you can see if I click on the financial category on the left-hand side, that's now been added here, and it's no longer sitting in my engagement folder. If you're wanting to add another category, you can do so by clicking on the little plus icon to the right of that categories heading. So enter in the new name, click create category, and that will add it to your list so you can start to utilize that category from that point forward. And finally, you can delete your file templates from here, which would then mean that they're not available for anyone to use from the template manager. The little side panel is only visible if you are actually in the document. So if you're not in a file template, then I'd recommend just clicking on that panel just to hide it and give you more space to move around. You'll see also that we've got email templates in here and folder templates. So with email templates, I'll take you through how to create them in a moment. That's done through Outlook. But if you're needing to make changes to an email template, just note that you can only rename, categorize, and delete your existing email templates. So if you come across maybe in a few months' time, you want to make an edit to the email template, just like I mentioned with your file templates, if you save a copy or you've got a copy in SuiteFiles somewhere, you can then reuse that, save it again. So go through that whole process again, give it a new name, come back into the template manager and delete the old one. That's the best way to manage your email templates. Same with your folder templates. You can't edit existing folder templates. So if you add a new financial year, then you'd need to re-template that folder set. Steps to do that are available on our Help Centre, and we also cover that off in basics training. If you haven't already come along to that, then I'd recommend that you do. And then from within here, you should be able to either just rename or delete folder templates. For me right now, I'm having a bit of trouble deleting folder templates, so I need to get that sorted. But you should then just have a nice tidy list of existing folder templates. So again, it's always best to keep your file templates and your folder templates in a folder somewhere in SuiteFiles, just so that you have access to them should you need to access them in future. So that's it for your template management. If anyone's got any questions on that, then do let me know via the Q&A. I'm just going to switch gears and we're jumping into Outlook next, and I'll take you through how to create your email templates. Okay, so with email templates, first of all, you'll need to be logged into the SuiteFiles Outlook add-in. So you can see I've got that all installed there. And the way that you create an email template is very similar to how we created a file template. So you start off with the base email that you want to then turn into an email template. So I've got something that I prepared earlier. So this email here, you can see that I've followed that same process as before. So I've jumped into the Help Center and I've taken the merge fields, copied and pasted the ones that I want to use in my email template into the body of my email. So I've got a couple of merge fields here and here. And I've also been able to add a merge field into the subject line of my email. So that will personalize that email as it gets sent across to my client. The other thing that you can do with email templates is you can include attachments. So if there's some standard accompanying information that you need your client to have access to, and you want that to be sent via email, then you can attach those from SuiteFiles. You can also attach files that include merge fields as well. So you can also personalize any attachments such as Word documents or Excel spreadsheets. So if I show you what that looks like, now in terms of attaching a document that includes merge fields into an email attachment, it just needs to be a standard file in SuiteFiles. You can't actually access or navigate to your template manager from here. So click the blue SuiteFiles button, attach from SuiteFiles button, and then you want to navigate through to wherever your template's stored. So I could also attach that file template that I created earlier. That would definitely be a possibility, but for this one I've got a document sitting in my business templates folder, and it's just sitting here. So I've got welcome to SuiteFiles, client business name, docx. So I can attach multiple files. Maybe I have this one I want to personalize. Maybe there's another PDF file that I want to attach to that document. I can look that up in the little search here and do that, but I'm quite happy with just that one attachment for now. And the one thing that you need to note with anything that you're attaching from SuiteFiles, and if you're wanting to include merge fields in the file name, is you just need to make a slight change to the merge field format. So if you look carefully here, comparing the client business name that I've used in the subject line to the one that I have included in the attachment, the separator is a colon in the subject line, so that's just the standard format. But for the file name, I've replaced that colon with a semicolon. And that's just because the colon is a restricted character. So through Office 365, and because we're built on top of Office 365, we then inherit that limitation there. So what we've done is we've made a little change in the back end so that if you just remember to replace that merge field separator with a semicolon, then we'll be able to ensure that that merge field comes through properly for you. So we take care of that. You just need to remember to do that little substitution. The other thing to note with attachments is that they can include merge fields within the document itself. So you can see here, I've got some merge fields in this attached file, and I'll show you how that comes through once we use it with client information. So once you're happy with the document, with the document attachment, and you're happy with the content of your email and subject line, you're ready to turn this into an email template. Now, one note here, you can see that I haven't included an email signature, and you probably want to do the same. So if you think about when your team member is goes to use this template, they're going to automatically have their signature inserting into your file template more often than not. So we recommend that you just leave the end of the email blank. That will allow your team members' signature to pull through automatically when they go to use this. So it just saves that duplication of email signatures. So that being said, if we're ready to turn this into an email template, we just click the Save as Email Template option in the top left corner and give the template a name. Again, I'm going to date this because I create these all the time. And if, like me, you've included an attachment, just make sure to click the Include Attachments option here before clicking Save. And that will save the email as an email template. And it's also now accessible from your template manager if you want to go in and categorize it or make some changes to the file name or anything like that. So that now lives in SuiteFiles and can be accessed by the web app, but I'm just going to go right ahead and use that with client information. So if we want to now use that template, we just need to compose a new email. And here, instead of clicking the Save As template, I'm now going to insert from template. So you can see here that in my little uncategorized section, I have a number of them, but I'm going to use the one from today. And then it's just a case of choosing a client that you want to populate the email and any attachments with. So again, just click the drop down there. You can type quickly on your keyboard to be pointed to a particular client. I'm going to use good old 99 Corporation just because I know it's got lots of information stored in Xero Practice Manager. Click the pre-populate button, and then that's going to pull through all of the merge fields that you had in the subject line, the body of the email, as well as any attachments. So you can see that little substitution that I made meant that the merge field came through nice and easily, and you can see if we open up the file this time, we can see that all of those merge fields that were previously in the attached document have also been replaced and personalized for the client there. So all that's left to do really is to add, in my case, I don't actually have an email signature coming through automatically for this account, but you can add an email signature here and then just enter in the recipient email address before you click on send, and away it goes. So it works for both replying to existing emails that you already have in your inbox as well as composing new ones. So let me know if you have any questions on that or anything at all that I've covered in today's training session. It's quite a bit to take in, but it is now over. So if you do have any questions, I will leave the session open for another few minutes just to give you a chance to ask away. But if you do have any other questions that you can't find the answers for on the Help Centre, then feel free to drop us an email at support@suitefiles.com and the team there will be happy to point you in the right direction. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.